Jayden. He had black, thick hair with a heart-shaped left earlobe.
Welcome to Still a Part of Us, a place where moms and dads share the story of their child who was stillborn or who died in infancy. I'm Winter.
And I'm Lee. We are grateful you joined us today. Please note that this is a story of loss and has triggers.
Thanks to our lost parents who are willing to be vulnerable and share their children with us.
If you're listening to this podcast, just know that on our YouTube channel there are pictures and videos that are related to the stories that are being shared.
Subscribe and share it with a friend that might need it, and tell them to subscribe. Why? Because people need to know that even though our babies are no longer with us, they're still a part of us. Welcome to Still a Part of Us. We are so grateful to have a wonderful couple here with us today. This is very unusual, so we're so excited to have Jinu and Gibin here today to talk about their sweet son, Jayden. So welcome. We're so excited to have you guys both on today.
Thank you so much, Winter. Thank you for having us.
Oh, yes, for sure. And as a way of introduction, tell me a little bit about yourselves and where you guys are located and where you will be located shortly. And then maybe tell me about what your family looks like at the time when Jayden was here.
We live in Manchester in UK. We are about to relocate to Melbourne in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Profession-wise, we are both nurses.
Awesome.
Yes, I work in a nearby hospital in the gynecology department.
Oh, great.
At the time of his birth, we both worked in hospitals. It is the same now, what we're doing now. But hopefully after the relocation, it will be a completely different change for us.
Yeah.
Before Jayden's birth, we were a family of 4. We had 2 girls, age 5 and 7.
Super fun. So you guys are probably quite busy, and that they take up probably a lot of your time, huh?
It is, but no regrets.
No regrets, of course, yes. And that's just going to point out to everybody, I don't know what your work schedules are usually like as nurses, but the schedule's usually kind of all over the place. You're working some night shifts, you're working some day shifts, and that's a bit of juggling too.
But obviously after the 3-day long day shifts, we've got 4 days off.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah, that is a blessing actually. And Jibin, do you guys work, what area in nursing do you work in?
I work in mental health.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. So 2 varied areas, but very, very needed, both sides, all of it. And what do you guys like to do as a family?
We love to go out. We love visiting places and maybe watch movies.
Oh.
We as a family, we love watching movies.
Oh, fun. Yeah, and there's some good stuff that is coming out nowadays, so that's great. Well, super fun. Okay, well, tell me, and can you give me a little bit of a context? When was Jayden born, and when was he, when was he born?
Jayden was born on the 17th of November, 2022.
Okay.
He lived with us for 15 beautiful weeks, and he passed away on 2nd of March, 2023.
So not so long. Now, you guys have 2 girls, 5 and 7, and was Jayden part of the, was he planned? Was he a little bit of a surprise?
It was a sweet surprise.
Was he?
But we were so happy. We were so excited. Obviously, we had a 5-year gap in between. So it is going through all that parenthood again, especially with a newborn.
Yeah.
The girls are quite self-managing at the moment.
Yeah.
So the sleepless nights was all scary in the beginning. Yeah. But I wish I had it all again now.
Yeah. A little bit of a surprise that you were pregnant. And how did you tell Gibin? Yeah. How did that go?
I just told him straight away. but we had the same emotion. We were excited, surprised, but happy, excited.
You guys are both very excited about this. Obviously, it's intimidating for sure if there's that 5-year gap, and like you said, going back straight into diapers and such, and like you said, sleepless nights and all that fun stuff. Did you end up going in like your first appointment pretty quickly? How did that work? I'm not totally sure. I know that healthcare is just a little bit different and when recommendations are maybe in the UK. So tell me how your first appointments went.
So our first appointment was at 8 weeks
Okay.
gestation. And it was pretty much smooth. We had our first scan at 12 weeks. And then things got a little bit complicated in his
Oh,
pregnancy.
okay. Well, okay. So 8 weeks, great. Scan at 12 weeks. And everything looked okay at those times?
Yes.
Okay. And how were you feeling, like pregnancy wise?
It was different with the girls. Obviously, the symptoms were different.
Mm-hmm.
I was more sick with the baby boy.
Yeah. Oh.
So the girls, I had a smooth pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
Emotionally, I was a bit up and down with his pregnancy.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So it was a bit of a struggle, but we managed the
Yeah.
pregnancy.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then you said that there was a bit of some complications during, after that point. Can you tell me what happened and, how that developed? Oh, and can I just ask really quickly, who are you being seen by? Like, I know you work at a hospital in that area. So is there somebody within that hospital system that you were seeing?
No, so we initially book in with the midwives, the community
Mm-hmm.
midwives,
Mm-hmm.
and unless there is a complication in the pregnancy, you won't be seen by a doctor
Gotcha.
throughout the pregnancy.
Okay.
If it's a smooth, healthy pregnancy, you just midwife-led care.
Perfect.
I was midwife-led care until 13 weeks, and I started bleeding.
Oh.
And yes, so we had a couple of hospital admissions, a couple of scares, um, 2 week 2 week scans from 13 weeks till he was born,
Mm-hmm.
and from 13 weeks I was consultant-led care.
Gotcha. Was it a lot of bleeding then?
It's intermittent, I should say.
Okay.
One day I get a little bit of blood, and obviously the next it's completely different. So there was no findings. They couldn't find anything in the scans. They just said we'll just wait and see.
Yeah.
By around 26 weeks, I had a bit of a large bleed.
Oh.
I was admitted, and in that scan, they found out I had polyhydramnios, which is too much amniotic fluid,
Yeah.
and the baby's growth was a little bit restricted.
Because of that. Okay.
But yes, we were scared.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's completely different with the other two pregnancies,
Yeah.
which is nothing like that.
Right. That if you're like, this was not what I was expecting. And so going in quite often, being watched continually, was he doing okay generally? You mentioned he had some growth restrictions, but in general, was he looking
He was
okay?
absolutely fine during the scans, and throughout the pregnancy, he was fine. I was just having too much fluids, and obviously his growth. On the scans, they were suggesting that he was a smaller baby,
Mm.
and that didn't really worry me at all.
Yeah.
I just wanted him to be okay.
Yes. You're like, I just want him healthy, and that is fine. We can handle small. Do you generally have a 20-week anatomy scan? Is that a common scan as well? Okay. And is it how was he looking at that kind of midpoint?
He was perfect. He was just perfect. He was just a happy baby.
Yeah.
He was everywhere.
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah.
So mainly around my ribs.
Oh, really? Hanging out there, huh?
His action more was with the legs.
Oh, really? He was a kicker, so he's gonna get into soccer, huh?
I was happy. I mean, I've heard about polyhydramnios. I've asked my friends about it, and they pretty much said it's nothing to worry. So I was actually rest assured.
Okay.
As long as he's okay, I was fine.
Okay. And can you tell me, did you find out? Did you guys decide to find out what his gender was at the 20-week appointment or before then?
The initial plan was we're not going to find out.
Oh,
But obviously, going into the scans every 2 weeks, we were so tempted to just find out. So
yeah.
yes, we did. So we got told it's a baby boy, and yeah, we were over the moon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so fun. Jayden, is that a family name? Where'd you guys come up with that name?
So we were going to put that name to our firstborn if it was a boy.
Oh,
So that
okay.
was a plan since we got married. We were like, oh, I really love this name. He liked the name. So with the first two, we didn't find out the gender. So we were like, if it's a boy, we'll, name him Jayden.
Yeah.
So that was a plan from 2016. So it's
Yeah.
always been.
It's always been there. Okay, his name, that is great. That's I think it's a sweet name, and so I think that is cool that you guys already just had that in the in the mix. And I am very impressed that you didn't find out the gender on your first two kids. I would have been like, you got to tell me.
We were happy that we were just going to find out when the baby's born.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we come from India, and it's not a normal thing to find out. You don't get told what the gender of the baby is, so we're kind of used to the system.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
we could keep the secret.
Yeah, you're like, we can do this. It's totally good. So I'd love to hear about how the girls, were they pretty excited that they were going to have a little baby brother?
No, they were not. Yes. Both of them were adamant that it's a boy. It's a girl.
Uh-huh.
So they were like, no, it has to be a girl. It has to be a girl. So when we told them that it's a little boy, they were like, no, it's not happening. The eldest was actually in tears.
Oh, man.
And we tried to convince her, at least you don't have to share your toys
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly.
So, yeah, but after the first 2 weeks after the gender find out, they were fine. They're used to it. They were looking forward to meeting him.
Yeah. Okay. That's so funny. Like, no, definitely not, Mom. Okay. And then tell me, as you progress, I would love to hear about when you guys went into labor and how that progressed.
So at our 36-week consultant appointment, we got told that baby is measuring a little bit smaller, and obviously there's too much fluids. So we'll induce you at 37 weeks.
Okay.
So that was the plan. And we were happy with that plan. And we were like, yeah, we'll just go in and get induced. I've done it before, 2 normal deliveries. So this should be okay.
Yeah.
So we got a date on when I reached 37 weeks. But obviously, due to the high demands in labor and obviously the obstetric side of the hospital,
Right.
and lack of beds, a bit of everything, lack of staff, it didn't happen till 37 plus 4.
Okay.
So I had to be in hospital for 4 days, and I was tired. Baby monitoring was fine. He was all good. And they tried to induce me the second day I got admitted, but nothing happened. I wasn't progressing at all with the dilation. And by around day 4, I really got uneven blood pressure. The observations were all uneven, and they literally said, okay, we can either wait for another 48 hours or we can just take you in for a section now. So I said, just take me in. So that was an emergency C-section.
Okay.
Because obviously I wasn't progressing with the dilation. I was still at 2 centimeters.
Oh.
Heart rate was rising for each contractions.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't want to risk it. Just take me upstairs. And yes, so that's it. So it was a C-section.
Awesome. And Gibin, were you able to be in the surgical suite when that happened? I once again don't know what's allowed and what's not allowed. So were you able to be there?
Yeah, I was with her.
Wonderful. And he was delivered with no problems. How or with problems? Or how did it go?
Within half an hour, baby was out, but he wasn't crying.
Mm.
So I couldn't see anything because they have like a curtain
Yep.
there in theater. So my husband, Jibin's obviously seen what's happened. He was born blue. He had to be resuscitated,
Okay.
given oxygen. It took around 10 minutes for him to make a first cry.
I think that's because of his cord around
He was
the
cord
neck.
around his neck.
Oh, he did. Okay.
So that was.
So he was literally born blue.
Okay.
Yeah,
But they
and
were
10 minutes of them working on him. He finally cried.
okay.
So I wasn't aware of any of that, until my husband told me.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's the tricky thing about the C-section. You're just like, I can't get up. I can't do anything. I can't go look. Yeah. Honestly, that I don't know, Jim. And how are you feeling? Because that would make me scared. If I saw my baby come out and he was all blue and yeah.
I was with the Jinu side, and then when I saw him and he was not responding, not crying, and they were trying really hard, then I've just left Jinu, and then I went to the baby side and I was watching what's happening. So they were really hard actually. They were like giving full oxygen and everything. So it took, I think it's pretty 15-20 minutes, to back to normal. I was like each minute counted, like, just what's happening, and they're not telling anything,
No.
So
yeah,
scary. It was scary. Like I was working in operating theater 5 years in India, and I've like assisted C-section for many times, and I know what they're going on, but still, when your baby comes, yours is just, oh my God,
panicked. Yeah, I mean, like you were just emotionally invested in this little baby, so yes, I would be panicking too.
I think you're watching his saturation levels because
the saturation level was 53 when it's on. When it's out, it was 53. So 53 is like very dangerous. So
yeah,
it's quite low.
And then again, it was like after the 15 liter of oxygen is slowly going up, picked up, and just finally it's gone up to 93. So then I was, right.
Okay. And he was responding okay once he was essentially he was brought back and resuscitated and everything, and his levels were better.
Yes, and he was born with good weight, 2.8 kilos. That's pretty good for a newborn.
Yeah.
Because during all of my scans, they were suggesting that baby is on the lower side of the weight, potentially around 2.4 kgs. So I was happy. He's happy. He's out. He's doing good. So I was happy.
Okay.
And one thing I need to tell that when he born, we got lots of hair, but none of
our children were born with hair.
So you're like, wait a second.
I was waiting, another one.
You guys, if you are just listening on the podcast, Jibin just pointed to his head, which does not have a lot of hair on it. Yeah, so just a lot of hair, and yeah, that would be surprising if none of your kids. Once again, this is a really different pregnancy, so
we were during all of our scans. Obviously, we had a lot during his pregnancy. I was like, towards the end, I was like, "Can you see any hair at all?" to the sonographer, and she, no. So I was like, "Okay, this is going to be another." The hereditary. So once he was born, as soon as I found out he was fine, they checked his weight. I said to my husband, "Has he got any hair?" That's the first thing I asked. And he's like, "It looks like he's got lots of hair." I said, "Oh my gosh." So a mom with having newborns with no hair at all and having newborn with hair, it's really joyful.
Oh, that's so funny and so cute. He's looking good. Did they wrap him up and bring him over? Or Jibin, did you bring him over to see?
Yeah, Jibin brought him over to me to see.
Wonderful. Oh, good. And he was looking good by that time, I assume.
He was looking good. He was fine. He was drowsy, but he was good.
Okay.
Then we got transferred to the recovery area, and obviously then back to the labor ward where we came from.
Right.
And then we noticed, Jibin noticed that he was breathing a little funny. Very, very different breathing to a normal newborn child.
It's like a noisy breathing.
Heavy,
struggled breathing.
So he's obviously informed the midwives, and she said, she'll get the doctors, the pediatrician, in just to check over it, which she did. And the pediatrician came, and he observed the baby for 15 minutes, and he still had the noisy breathing because the baby was fast asleep, very disturbed breathing. And after the first 15 minutes, Jayden woke up. So, and the breathing was absolutely fine.
Oh, okay.
So obviously the pediatrician said it looks okay. He looks fine. I'm happy to discharge him. So that was our first scare. Of something was wrong.
Also, the doctor said it may be the fluid, is amniotic fluid. Maybe, it's obstructing or something.
Yeah, and just still kind of hanging out. That needs to be worked out.
So we believe that, actually, So.
Okay. I know that, actually, I'm not totally sure if this happens or not. Do they still have a O2 monitor on them, like a saturation monitor on them? Or no? Once they're
in the back to the labor ward or postnatal ward, that's gone.
Okay. No. So they didn't, even while he was having that labored breathing, they didn't check it out in that way to see if he was getting enough O2s?
No.
Nothing. Okay. You were discharged that day?
No, the next day.
The next day. Okay. Because I was like, a lot of C-sections usually are, you're in the hospital a couple days here in the United States at least. And so just, how were you feeling from the C-section?
It was a disaster.
What?
I should say. Yes, because having two normal deliveries and then a C-section is completely different.
Yes.
A lot of pain. I was really traumatized with what was going on.
Yeah.
Having a newborn and obviously the after pains, the scar pain. No. Whilst I was at the hospital, it was managed because they give you the high dose of medication. Morphine and everything, but obviously they don't send us home with that. And around the third or fourth day, it gets actually pretty much the worst.
Yes. Oh.
And it's hard to manage with the other two children at home, and it's hard. It's really hard. I still remember walking to the toilet for the first time. It was just the worst thing ever.
Yeah, it is so painful. And because I've had a C-section as well, and you're just like, what just happened? I had a baby taken out of me. I got cut open. I'm like, this is not great. Okay, so, but they did discharge you. You were still probably feeling okay with the drugs. And so, but then getting home, and how did the girls take to him when you brought him home?
It was surprisingly so smooth with them because they just grasped it so quickly. Like, this is a new human being in a house, but it went so smooth. They were so prepared. Whilst he was in my tummy, they used to speak to him, sing to him, and kind of made sure that he was involved, even though he was inside my tummy, of what was going on around them. So it was pretty much easy. They just learned the sisterhood again.
Yeah.
Basically.
So fun. That's it. I always think that, older siblings can be so sweet to little babies, their little baby brothers and sisters. So,
yes.
Okay. Okay. So you guys are home. He's doing okay. Are you noticing that labored breathing consistently still?
So, yes, I think throughout his 15 weeks of life, there was almost 6 times that I raised concerns and nothing was done about it. So obviously in the UK, I don't know how it's there, but in the UK, day one, post discharge from the hospital, the midwives come home, check the baby, check the mom. Every time the midwives come, the health visitors come, I've been telling them, is this breathing okay? Obviously, I've had 2 children before, and this is nothing like that.
Yeah.
Very disturbed, some kind of obstruction. And they were like, it's fine. It can be just a floppy larynx. They just diagnosed it themselves, basically, instead of, not even one. Yes, not even one person thought of maybe sending an ENT referral or getting somebody in to get this baby checked out. Yes, almost 6 chances were missed.
Oh my goodness, that is.
Yes. One of the health visitors came home and she said, I raised concerns. And I said, just listen to this baby. His breathing is not normal when he's sleeping and when I'm feeding him. When he's awake, it's totally fine. That breathing does not exist anymore. Yeah. It's just when he's sleeping and feeding. So she literally saw me feeding the baby, breastfeeding the baby. And she was more concerned about how good he was latching, how many nappies he was,
going
and
through. Yeah.
And I said, is this breathing okay? And she was like, just take a video of it next time you hear it and show it to the doctor's baby checkup at 8 weeks.
Okay.
That's what she told me.
Okay. And at the, so this is another thing that's a little different is that, excuse me, that these home visits are something that we don't have in the United States. And so that's kind of unique. But then he did have an 8-week follow-up appointment at a doctor's office, like a pediatrician. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And
he was a set of immunizations and
yes.
followed by the checkup.
Gotcha. Okay. When you did finally bring him in, what did I'm assuming you brought that same concern up. What did the pediatrician say?
We took him in and we told him about the whole thing. He heard baby's breathing. He heard the video that I took, and he was just like, he's drinking well. He's breastfeeding well. He's passing urine okay. Everything looks fine physiologically.
And his growth is fine.
Yeah, his growth is fine. Weight gain is fine.
Yeah.
It's not concerning him.
Yeah.
And it could be a floppy larynx. Could be.
Yeah.
But if all the other factors are affecting him, then obviously there's something like an intervention to be done. And obviously he was more concerned about his physical body, like as he got his hips aligned, his the basic baby checkup. But that was it.
That was it.
So during his 15 weeks of life, I have made concerns. We have made concerns regarding his breathing, but we were just being told, it's fine. It's okay. It's normal. So after the 8 weeks, we kind of got used to it because I just feel like I'm just being a over-concerned mother.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, he's doing fine. Anyway, he's growing well. He was born at 2.8 kg and he picked up so much weight. Good. He was a chubby baby by 14, 15 weeks. He was cute. Yeah. So I got used to the breathing, I'm hearing it day and night. So I just got used to it because everybody told me it's fine.
It's fine. It'll, yeah. I am just coming from healthcare. I'm like, oh, this is like, it's so frustrating to hear, essentially feeling ignored. And then just after a while being told so many times, you're like, okay, I guess it's not worthwhile bringing up because nobody else seems to be concerned about it. And yeah, that's frustrating. Can you tell me, just before we get too far, will you tell me a little bit about his personality? Was it starting to develop and yeah, tell me about what he was like as a baby.
He was born as a crybaby. There was lots of troubles the first 2 weeks. But after that, I think babies get used to the environment and us as parents. Yes. And he just got so happy. We were so happy. We were so used to him. And around 14 weeks, if you enter the room and he's there, he just looks around, he knows who you are.
Yeah.
And he was smiling. He started giving me big smiles.
Yeah.
He knows us. And especially more than us, it's the girls.
Oh, really?
Yes. If I kind of stay around him, pick him up, he's got a decent smile.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, if it's the elder sister, he has a brightest smile in the world. He knows.
It's like he's excited.
Yes, very excited.
Oh.
Yes, you could tell the difference when they are around. Because obviously they play around and they make noises and he gets excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's
down
they're down on the ground with him and just probably having so much fun with him.
And also, if they walk around, you follow them as well. They
really?
He stand his head, follow them.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. Okay, so he's doing really good, kind of being alert, kind of doing all the same, like he's hitting all the milestones, right? Essentially, like as he goes along. And I guess tell me about what any other concerns you had before he passed away. Did you bring up everything that you had said?
During that 15 weeks of his life, there was numerous times that he had low saturation. And now looking back at his pictures, he really had bluish arms and legs.
Oh.
Now looking back, you notice things, obviously. And not exactly bluish, but you could tell a difference from his face and his arms.
Yeah.
And, there was numerous times he was low in saturation levels.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
Like when he had a pneumonia, we went to hospital.
Yes. So when he was around 6 weeks age, we went to India with him for his baptism.
Oh,
because all my husband's family members are in India.
Mm-hmm.
So he had his baptism done there. Just after the day of his baptism, he was hospitalized due to coughing, wheezing, and obviously when he was presented at the A&E in India, he had low saturation again. It was 77.
Oh.
So there's been a couple of times that this baby had low saturation.
Yeah.
And obviously we came back after 2 weeks and we had a baby checkup here. And I kind of explained to the doctor that he was hospitalized, he had low saturation, he documented everything, and that's it.
It's
a lot of.
Yeah. When you guys were in the emergency department in India, did they have any, he had some coughing and wheezing and he had low saturations. What did they conclude while they were there? Were they concerned? Was it more like, oh, he probably has a cold, a viral infection, something like that?
So they treated him for, obviously, the wheezing. It was presented as the cold symptoms.
Okay.
And that's why probably he had the wheezing and low saturation.
Yeah.
So it's just that, and he had a bit of cough. So the climate change, he's tiny, he's just 6 weeks old.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, conclusions made.
Right.
But it wasn't looked into, is there an obstruction or what is causing?
Yes.
Saturation level. It wasn't looked further into.
Gotcha. Okay. So you guys returned back home and then got checked out. They didn't really do anything about it at that time. So that would have been like around 8 weeks, like you said. And then, so can you continue on with what had happened after that?
So it was the 2nd of March. We sent the girls to school, and I'm doing my master's dissertation at the same time. So I'm like, the baby's reached 3 months age, so I can kind of get back to my studies. I just have the dissertation to hand. So I was focused on that. My husband was looking after Jayden. Actually, the second day into resuming the dissertation, that was 2nd of March. The first day went fine. We did exactly the same things. The second day, which is the 2nd of March, I was upstairs studying, doing some work. Gibin was downstairs. We have a bedroom downstairs, and baby was crying downstairs. So I was like, okay, just bring the baby up. I'll just breastfeed him.
Mm-hmm.
So Gibin's brought the baby upstairs. Around 1 o'clock, I breastfed him. He was sleeping in my arms. And my husband was like, you carry on your work. I'll take him downstairs and put him in the bedroom downstairs.
Okay.
And which he did. He was sleeping in the bedroom downstairs. Fine. There was no obstructions, nothing. He was just sleeping. And okay. And then I called Gibin up, which I really regret. I don't know why I called him upstairs, because his initial plan was to do cooking, because kitchen is next to the room, so he can keep an eye on the baby.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I called Gibin upstairs. Oh, there's this phone call, or to update him on something. And then we started talking, and he had a shower. And during his shower, Gibin said to me, "Oh, is he not awake yet?" So I said, "No, he's not. He's not cried." So he got out of the shower, and we both came downstairs. Okay, well, it's nearly school pickup time. It was almost 2:30.
Yeah.
So in the afternoon. So we were like, oh, and I was like, we both went into the room, and we found him upside down with his arms down. Initially, I thought he's never turned. He's never, so I thought maybe he's turned for the first time.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I just looked at the back of him, and it wasn't racing. Like I just went in and just picked the baby up, and he was blue.
Oh.
And I just started crying. I started screaming. I was like, bring my baby back. What's happened? And I was like, just give him back to me, just make him okay. He was quite brave, which I am really proud of him, because as a father, it's quite hard to CPR your own kids, but he managed that. We took the baby upstairs. I don't know why, because all of the panic, we were panicked. We didn't know what to do. We took the baby upstairs. He started CPR, and he said to me, just phone 999.
Yeah.
Phone the emergency. And I couldn't find my phone. Anyway, within the next 1 minute, we phoned.
Mm-hmm.
And I started screaming over the phone. I said, my baby's not breathing. I need help. And I told them the address, and I waited near the door for them to come in. The ambulance service came within 4 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It was pretty good. I'm really, really happy about that.
Yeah.
Then they just took over. I was going dizzy. Then he had to look after me. And it was just a nightmare. There was no signs of life at that point, but they didn't tell us that. Obviously, but during the CPR, he kind of got his color back, but there was no pulse.
Gotcha.
So, yes, then they just rushed us to the hospital.
From the time that you guys had put him down for a nap to when you guys discovered him, how long had that time elapsed?
In 1.5 hours.
Okay. So, 90 minutes
around
or so.
Past 1, we put him to bed.
1:30.
2:30, we got down.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So just an hour.
1 hour, 10 minutes.
Yeah, around that.
1 hour, 10 minutes.
Okay.
But if it happened days, so the previous day, he slept in the same bed 3 hours.
Yeah. So
he's normally a good sleeper. He sleeps during the day. He sleeps at least 2 hours at a time.
Yeah.
2 to 3 hours. At nights, it's actually the other way around. After 1.5 hours, he's wide awake, but during the day, he pretty much sleeps really well.
He's a good sleeper. Yeah, he's a good napper. Because I was going to say, just an hour and 10 minutes or so, that is nothing. I would be like, oh, please continue sleeping. Like that's what I would, that would be an automatic thought to me. Like, yeah, you need to sleep a little bit longer. So they rushed you to the hospital, and can you tell me how that proceeded?
They took me and my husband traveled in the police car.
Yeah.
Baby was in the ambulance with the crew. They took him straight in to the resus room. We were waiting. We were told to wait at the family waiting room, if that's what it's called. And we just waited there. I was anxious. I wanted to be there. To me, like they were kind of restricting me to be with my baby.
Yeah.
I'm telling them I'm a nurse. I know what's going on. I know I need to be there.
Yeah.
And they were just like, just wait for us to let you in, because they were working on him so hard. They tried almost 20-30 minutes, and they asked us to come in to the room, and there were so many people. I didn't look at the baby. I was just looking at the monitor. There was no saturation at all. I was just focused on the monitor. I didn't look at him because I knew he was going to be in that state with all the tubes around him.
Yeah.
Yes, so my focus was on his numbers, and there was nothing. And after a good half an hour, the doctors came up to us and said, look, we've tried enough. We've tried a lot, and it's time to stop. There's no chances. And I said, no, you can't do that. You need to, can you please try? Can you please try? They said, no, we've tried enough. And that was it. Everybody slowly just started leaving the room. We just stayed with each other, crying. And I just went to him and I said to the nurses, can I lie down with him? And I don't know why I took my top kind of off, and I was kind of giving him skin to skin like he was born.
Yeah.
I thought that would bring him back. He need to be with me, need to feel me to kind of come back. I still had hope for some reason or the other, but they were like, he doesn't need this now. So they just, yeah. So I lied down with him in that trolley bed, and that was me for the next 8 hours. I hugged him. He was on my arms. We lied down for 8 hours. Yeah.
I am so sorry. Did the doctors say anything about maybe what had happened? I just.
So after the first 2 hours, first 1 hour, since it was declared that he was gone, we were asked to move back into the other room, which we were initially at. So I took the baby. All his tubes were out. I took the baby. I changed him. The nurses asked, do you want us to change his clothes? Because it was a bit messy whilst they were working on him. So I was like, I'll do it. I'll just change his nappy. I'll just change his clothes. I want to do it. And I just changed him, hugged him again, lie down with him in the other room. And after a good 2-3 hours, the doctors came in. The investigation team came in, wanted to ask us a couple of questions. So they checked baby first in another room. They took the baby from me. They checked him over just to make sure there wasn't any abuse or something like that.
Yeah.
After that, they gave baby back to me and then asked us a couple of questions with regards to his pregnancy, birth, his life, health issues, and what happened on the day. So after all those questions, I asked the doctor, according to your experience, what do you think has happened? Because to me, he's a baby that was light on his back, flat.
Yeah.
And I saw him upside down. So in my mind, he's turned. But I want to make sure, obviously they know better than us. And he's like, we don't know what to call it yet. But for the time being, it's SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. That's what they told us. They got our keys, house keys, and they checked everything. They came home, the investigation team and the police, they checked everything. That was part of the protocol.
Yes.
the investigation team, they came back and they said they can't find anything. So what happened to this baby? We don't know yet. Yes. So after that, my parents came in. We just stayed in that room. I just lied down with him. The worst part was when the girls came home. I asked my dad to pick the girls up, which he did, and brought them to the hospital. They didn't know that he had gone. They just know that he's in the hospital. He's sick.
Yeah.
When they came in to the room, my husband said to them, kind of said in the nicest way possible that he's no more. And that's it. They just started crying. They came in.
No, the elder one said, no,
that can't happen.
No, he can't go. He can't go. No, that's what she said.
And yes, they came in. I said, do you want to hold him? And they both held him in their arms, and they were crying. And they didn't. Both of them. They didn't ask me what happened. I think they're in a bit of a shock as well at the time.
Yeah.
And they just know he's gone. And that was hard.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to tell them. But I'm really proud that he's managed to tell them, to disclose that he's no more.
Yeah.
After around 8 hours, I found him, leaking a bit of fluid because it's been 8 hours. And he was getting poorly. So I said to the nurses, I'm ready for him to go to the mortuary. And
would they have allowed you to keep him as long as possible? Was there any sort of hospital policy?
There was no restrictions at all.
Okay.
They've been really, really nice, really compassionate.
Yeah.
And they just left it to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was any policies, but
but that's okay.
I wasn't told anything.
It sounded like your parents are also in the UK. So were they able to meet? I mean, were they able to come see him and hold him?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, we have quite a lot of Indian community here, just around where we live. And, because it was school time, there was a lot of Indian parents picking their children up, and they kind of got the information that something had happened. And whilst I was in the hospital holding my baby for the 8 hours, there was millions of people just coming in. And that was a bit not nice. Yeah. I wanted privacy. I wanted us time, 5 of us, the time again. I just wanted to be left in peace. But at that time, I didn't say anything because I wasn't concentrating on the world. Yeah. To me, I just wanted to be with my baby, and that's all that mattered to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people came visiting, a lot of friends.
It's just so much when there's so many people that just want to support and
they came in all good intentions.
Yes.
But personally, at that time, I wasn't comfortable because it was my last moments with him.
Yeah. Yes. When he was starting to look poorly, then you asked the nurses that, it was time. Did you bring him to them, or did you guys just end up leaving? Tell me how that went.
Because I work in the gynecology department, I know that babies who pass away need to be in a cold cot.
Yes.
To protect them getting unwell. So I've asked them, is there a cold cot available?
Something, yeah.
And they were like, no. So I said, what's going to happen to my baby? It's been 8 hours. You've not offered me cold cot yet.
Yeah.
So they said, they don't know where the cold cot is, and they didn't know. So I said, I work in the same hospital. I said, can someone go to my ward, my department?
Mm-hmm.
There is a cold cot there. Can you ask them? Can you tell my name? They know who I am.
Yeah.
Just bring it down for me, please. So, which they did. And I put the baby, nobody knows how to work it. So because I'm used to it,
yes,
I have to, it's not a privilege.
Yeah.
Having to do all this and me having to ask them to bring the cold cot, which was nice. Anyway, it was, so I set the cold cot up and I put the baby on the cold cot. And within the next 1 hour, the porters came down and to carry him to the mortuary.
Okay.
And until then, he was settled in the cold cot. Yeah. Then we had a final prayer, final blessing from the priest. And then he was taken.
I also wanted to ask Jibin, how were you handling all of this during this time from when he passed and before he was taken?
I don't know what to say because I was in a shock. I don't know what to tell. That day, when we woke up on 2nd of March, 5:30, my mom was calling me and my sister was calling me online. And I think 5:30, 4:30, and so we put on the silent mode. So when we wake up, they video call like so many times. That's not.
Yeah, it was a strange day.
It was
in
a
general.
strange thing.
When you try and recall the day, it's just the strangest day ever. They never video call us, especially that time of day. They know it's early morning for us, and obviously it's lunchtime for them in India. But it was random. They tried, and I kind of messaged my sister-in-law saying, "Oh, his baby's sleeping, so if we talk now, baby's going to be awake. Can we call you later?" And she's like, "That's fine." And then she called me again at 7:00. So many times they were trying to call. And anyway, at 7 we answered the phone. And my sister-in-law was like, "Oh, I wanted to see the baby," which was so random because she never phones me at that time, especially for video calls and asking for baby. She normally asks me how I was. We have a general chat, and then I show her the baby. That's the normal thing. And anyway, my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law both saw the baby on the video call. He was talking to him, and he was smiling. He was not crying at all. And yeah, it was a strange day.
That is so interesting. Yeah, that.
Then when I heard the news back from the hospital, I wanted to tell my mother, but I don't know what to say to them. Because they saw him in the morning and then afternoon, I can't tell them he's not there. So that was bad. And again, can't lie to my kids as well. So they've been picked up from the school. They come into hospital. I need to explain them before they see him. Also, they are like 7 and 5. Don't know what to say to them and how they're gonna accept it.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it's like, but someone have to say to them, I don't know. I think the girls give me a bit strength, because
like he had to be okay for them.
Yeah.
Because I was completely down. I was broken. I just lost myself that day.
Yeah.
So I think God's given him, we believe that God's given him the courage to be okay for us, to look after us. I am really, really, really grateful for that he's been at my side.
Yeah.
Another thing is, and also my nursing career, I never seen somebody doing CPR. Worked in hospital a long time, but I never seen him giving somebody CPR.
Yeah.
And also, this is the baby, so
it's completely
different. And when Jinu picked up him, she just telling me I need him, I need Jayden. So I wanted to bring him back to our life. I didn't think about anything else. I just just
wanted him
to alive, and I wanted to give her back. So I was just trying hard. I just started CPR. So I've given mouth to mouth, the
breathing.
So when I gave him mouth to mouth, so he just aspirated. So I didn't care. I just wiped it again. I put my mouth into his mouth, and I was doing everything. All I wanted, wanted to bring him back. Try my best, I think. But when the ambulance crew came here, I was happy. So I thought they can give some medication or
just bring him back.
Something they can do something. So then I concentrating about Jinu, because I know Jinu is in a
terrible
different state. So I just went with her, and then I was just trying to say to her they started CPR, they started oxygen. So now I just said to her as I saw his colors changing, so it's better. So I just wanted to assure her, he's okay. So I did.
Your best, didn't you?
It's something there he can't even express nothing, And when they said this, it's gone. So we were thinking, we're of 5 people in the house.
We were 5, and now we've gone back to 4, and that doesn't make sense. Nothing at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so sorry. So sorry. It's I just want to point out to our listeners also that this is we're just 6-7 months out from having you guys lose Jayden. I know you had asked the doctors what their professional opinion was of what happened, and they just they did say it was SIDS. Did you opt for an autopsy? I'm assuming that might actually be part of the protocol, is to do an autopsy.
Yes.
Okay. And those take a lot of time in the United States. How long does it take in the UK? Is that something you guys already have results back from, or are you still waiting?
We're still waiting for the results. It's been 7 months, but we still have no updates. They initially told us just after the procedure about things like the blood samples, the urine and feces samples. That's all. That all came back as normal. Nothing. They couldn't find anything.
Okay.
My initial thinking was, was the baby suffocated? Because that's one of my biggest nightmares still. I still have visions of my baby struggling to breathe, and so that was one of my main concerns. Was he suffocated? Because nobody's seen what's happened. And just after the post-mortem, the doctors phoned me and they said there was no signs of suffocation in his heart trace. That's one thing that they told me, but so far no official results yet.
Okay.
Still waiting.
Yeah, to wait for answers is, unfortunately, it's not going to bring him back, but it is nice to have some what happened, as reassuring as we hope it would be.
Lots of answers.
Yeah.
At the moment, we're trying to think, this is it. No, this is it. That might have happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish they could tell us what's happened in one word. But I probably won't.
Yeah. Did you end up having a funeral here in the UK? What was your plans for his body?
So he passed away on the 2nd of March, and his funeral was conducted in the Catholic rites on the 28th of March.
Okay.
I wanted a white funeral for him, just because a black funeral doesn't go well with my thoughts. It's more like an adult, more serious. And he's a baby. He's an angel. Yeah. I like white. So we asked our families and friends to wear white if possible. The girls were white. And I actually don't remember a thing about that day at all. It just went out of my mind like this. I know there were a lot of people came, but one thing that changed after the funeral was, until then, even though he was lifeless, I had his body to hold in my arms.
Yeah.
We used to go and visit him every day
Mm-hmm.
at the mortuary. But just after the day of his funeral, there was nothing. It was just empty. And that was hard. And me, as a postpartum mom, going through a lot of emotions, a mom who suddenly stopped breastfeeding, he was fully breastfed. So there was a lot of things not right in my mind.
Yeah.
Psychologically, I was not right at all. Physiologically, nothing.
Yeah.
I was not okay. So, yes, it took a while for my brain to understand that and accept that this has happened to your baby.
It's so jarring and unnatural. Like you said, you were breastfeeding him, and to have not a baby to suckle anymore, that is another reminder, I guess, of your baby not being there. And that is hard. Did you decide to have him buried, or was he cremated? I'm not totally sure what your tradition is / your religious beliefs. And so what did you guys end up doing with his body?
We buried his body
Okay.
at the local cemetery.
Okay. I know you guys are going to be moving here shortly. Is that something that you've thought about, that he's just going to be here and you guys are going to be in a different country?
We had a plan of relocating since last year, since I was pregnant with him.
Mm-hmm.
But we were taking it slow because once baby is born, we
Yes.
at least need to stay at least until he's 6 months old. So we were kind of taking it slow. But once, Jayden's passed, we speeded everything up. I couldn't stay here anymore.
Yeah.
Same house, same town, same country, same workplace, same people that I meet every day. I couldn't live in this place anymore. And that's the one thing that we both worked hard to kind of speed things up, to move out. It might not be the solution for all of our problems, but we wanted to try and see if that would make at least 1% better to our situation at the moment.
Yeah.
A change.
Gibin, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you remember about his funeral or his memorial service that you remember? Because Jinu was not like she said, she was not in a good place. And I would probably agree with you. You just are we're not in a good space because of just the trauma and the devastation that has just happened. Do you remember any of it, Jibin? Anything else you want to tell our audience or remember?
One thing, we want to say something, on his funeral. So Jinu made a nice talk. So she was
like a eulogy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she was preparing that, but I didn't hear that. So I don't know how that's gonna be, and I was worried. And I used to sing in the church, so I couldn't sing for him actually, but then Jinu said that's the last, that's his send off. So if we can't sing for him, that's it. So you're gonna regret it later. So then when like 27 and 26th, I was trying to sing for him for the Holy Communion, and I couldn't sing a word actually, but anyway, on his funeral, I managed.
He sang beautifully, and it was an Indian language song, and the meaning of it itself says, "You are God's child. Why are you worrying?" That just, it meant a lot. The song meant a lot to us, and yes, he sang beautifully.
And Jinu did a wonderful talk about everything since he's born and when she was carrying, everything. So I was just behind on the side of her. I was ready to hold her. Like, I don't know if you're gonna finish it or
Yeah.
So I was worried about Jinu, but she was brave and she did it. My I can't do that. But I told my cousin, can you just behind her, if she can't finish it,
read it for me.
Read it for her, So anyway, she was behind us. But anyway, yes, everything went well. We were like in a bubble, so we couldn't see anybody.
It's so hard. Funerals for little babies are
Yes.
just so hard.
I've actually never been to a funeral, and the funerals that I'm aware of are for older people or people, not for babies. That's not diagnosed with any medical condition.
Yeah.
That doesn't
happen, right?
Yes. I can't understand that at all.
I'm so sorry for your loss, and I'm sorry that also that it's there's no answers right now. But I so appreciated you telling us about Jayden and his cute little head of hair and how he would light up the room with his sisters, and how much he was very much part of your family, your family of 5. So thank you so much for sharing him. Is there any last things you want to have on record about him, or anything that you want to remember about him?
Everything. I can't just sum up in one word.
No.
I can't believe that's just the end of life. I can't believe that it's just the end of. Doesn't make it. I can't just sum it up in one word.
Sometimes I think I even told Jinu, he just come before the Christmas. I think he's come to celebrate Christmas with us.
And gone before Easter.
Before Easter. It's something weird,
I thank you so much for your time. And thank you for sharing us, Jayden. It's a privilege to know him and to know you. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.